Good morning, and thank you all for joining us on this virtual outreach for Peralta Community College District's bond program. This is our 6-month look ahead. I'm Shonda Scott, CEO and founder of 360 Total Concept. We are a small local business based in Oakland, and we are part of the AECOM program management team for the bond program. We are thankful that we had hundreds of registrants today. So if everyone joins, I'm sure it will mean that we will have a lot of questions. We will try to answer as many questions as we can after the presentation, but since this is being recorded, if we don't get to your questions, we will follow up with all the questions in writing as a post-event follow-up. If you have questions, please put them in the Q&A box at the bottom of your toolbar, and we will read them live and answer them live as well. So please put your questions as you get them on the top of your mind in the Q&A, and we'll track them. And then also at the end of the presentation, we will take questions as well. Today, we will start our presentation with a welcome and program overview by Peralta Community College District's Interim Vice Chancellor Smith. It will be followed by the program manager, Keith Kajiya of AECOM, who will provide a program update on the procurement opportunities in the next 6 months. Dr. Williams-Powell will present how to do business with Peralta, and I will wrap it up with small local business information. And we will have a survey at the end, which we do need you to complete. It will only take 1 minute, but we definitely need the information so we can serve you as best we can. And then at the end, we will take our Q&A live. So remember to put your questions in the Q&A box at the bottom of your toolbar. I will now turn it over to Interim Vice Chancellor Smith of Peralta Community College District over the Department of General Services. Interim Vice Chancellor Smith, the floor is yours for our welcome.
Thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. Once again, we always we want to thank you for all your support and to continue to support Peralta Community College as you voted in Measure G. We are finishing up the expenditures in Measure A and moving on full throttle into Measure G now. Currently, Keith Kajiya and AECOM will go over your projects, the projects that we have in motion right now. But I do want to make 2 announcements. One, the Chancellor, Dr. Jackson, is not able to join us this morning, but I'm sure she wants you to know that on November 10th, we are holding a charrette at Laney College. And I think it begins at 10 to 2 on November 10th. And the charrette is intended to invite the community, invite small businesses, invite our vendors to hear from everyone on how we're doing on our bond, and also understand moving forward what we can do better, how we can serve the community better, what educational things you would like to see as we move forward. We've taken a natural pause in our bond right now, which we have our first phase of our project moving, but the second phase, that's why we'd like to hear from you. The second announcement I'd like to make, and Dr. Powell will probably go into a little bit more information, are small local businesses. We have a small local business goal right now, and we are looking to change that into a policy in the next 6 months. So we've heard you, and we are working hard on making that change. However, within that change, we are also setting up a small business advisory board. So what the makeup of that board will be, we don't know yet, but we are looking to small businesses from each of the 6 areas that we serve, the Rotary clubs, the local agencies, to join us and to make sure that we continue to move forward in the way that makes Peralta proud. So thank you very much. Again, thank you for all your support. And I turn it over to Keith Kajiya. Thank you.
Thanks, Atheria. I did want to mention, it looks like Dr. Jackson is online, so I don't know if she wanted to say a few words as well.
Thank you, Keith, and thank all of you for attending this opening. I'm excited. We are at a critical juncture. We just sent out our bond issuance for Measure G, our second issuance. And we are closing in on $150 million, which we are extremely happy, should be in the bank within the next week. And so we are all set to move forward, unencumbered by any kind of fiscal issues. And just wanted to again thank all of you for attending. We are entering into a new phase, as IVC Smith indicated. The board has made it very clear to us that we need to move forward with a policy so that we are sharing the rewards of our contracts with our local and small businesses. In the past, it has been an aspirational goal of 25%, and they want us to put a little bit more teeth behind that. So I want to be very open and transparent so that no one is surprised when we go out for bids that that is going to be a prominent feature in our awarding of contracts. We have not finalized all of the details yet, but I do want to let you know that that is forthcoming. And then the last thing, just to reiterate what IVC Smith, Atheria Smith indicated, is we are looking at establishing an advisory board. The makeup of that board is still to be determined, but we will be sending out information again, that is to provide us with that outside information on how to go forward, ways of improvement, feedback, how we can get better, how we can be more responsive, so that we can make this a smooth operations on both sides, both from the district's point of view as well as from the vendor and our construction firms. So thank you all for attending, appreciate it. And I'll turn it back over to Keith, who will kind of lead our team through the rest of this presentation along with Shonda and our fiscal. I think Dr. Marla Williams-Powell is going to cover that. So thank you all for attending. I'm popping in and out of different meetings, so I may have to leave early, but I'll be here as long as I can. So thank you, Keith.
Well, Keith, before you get started, Dr. Jackson, I did announce our charrette on November 10th. If you wanted to add anything to that and let the community know a little bit more about it.
Okay, thank you. That's just where I came from. We are in the process of finalizing our district strategic plan. And the strategic plan are the major initiatives that the Peralta district in the next 3 to 5 years wants to accomplish. As part of that planning process, we want to reach out to the community to tell us, we have ideas of what we think we're doing good at, things that we want to expand upon, and we want to see if that is reflected in our community. So your views are extremely important. So on November the 10th, we are having a charrette. I believe the times are from 9 o'clock. That's the kickoff. We're going to have continental breakfast, 9 o'clock until 2 o'clock. You do not have to be there all day. We hope that you can, but if you can't, we're going to have 2 4 sessions, kind of broad areas that we're going to be speaking on and seeking your input on. And we're going to repeat that twice. We'll capture all of that information, present it kind of as a culminating event right after lunch. We're going to provide lunch for you also, hot lunch, by the way. We feel like if you're taking the time out, we're not going to do box lunches. We're going to actually give you a meal. And then we will finalize that, put all of that together. We're trying to get everyone's email address so we can then turn around and provide you that information back to validate, did we hear what you were saying? If we didn't, please correct us. We'll be sending it to all of the people that are on the mailing list, whether you attend or not, because maybe you couldn't make it, but you had ideas that you want to forward to us so it can be captured. We will be doing that. And we have a web page, which I think was put in the chat, that you can check for more information on the different focus areas, and depend on your area of focus. I'm sure there's something there that's going to kind of resonate with you. And I hope that you will be able to attend to give us that feedback. We want to make sure we are a community college. And so we want to reflect the needs of our community. And I know what I think, but I'm one person. Collectively, I think we can do great things. So again, I won't take any more time. Thank you very much for attending, and I'll turn it over to Keith. Thank you for reminding me, Atheria.
Of course.
Thanks, Dr. J. And is the event on the 10th or the 11th?
The 10th.
Okay.
It's on the 10th.
I got to mark my calendar.
And please RSVP, because that way I want to make sure I have enough refreshments for everyone. So RSVP is really important. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, next slide, Ram. Good morning, everyone. I'm Keith Kajiya. I'm the program manager from AECOM over the capital program. This is the kind of key leadership of the program management team. Many of you have probably met Sharon Serrano in the past, Dr. Bonnie James from BRJ and Associates, and of course, Shonda Scott, who's leading our session today, doing our outreach efforts. Next slide. This continues to be our structure. I think it's important to note the role of the construction management firms that are assigned to each college. Kitchell is overseeing the Berkeley City College campus and the Merritt College. Swinnerton is overseeing the Laney College, and Roebelin oversees the College of Alameda. I think important to note in their roles, they're pretty much the boots on the ground folks that are driving both procurements and the projects at each of those campuses. As the program management firm, our responsibility is to provide that oversight to enforce and administer the policies that the Board of Trustees, the things that the Chancellor and IVC Smith want to deploy throughout the capital program. It's important as we look at our outreach efforts, all the other things that we're talking about, that those are kind of the boots on the ground folks that you also need to engage with and make sure that you're connected with. Next slide. I'm going to give you an overview of the capital program. As IVC Smith indicated, one of the changes probably from the last time we had met is that we've specifically divided the program into two discrete phases, with phase one being those projects that are ongoing, largely state funded, those projects that we had moved into the pre-construction phase over the last couple of years. Phase two is a reservation of $400 million of the bond funds, really because of the impact of escalation on our construction projects. We're seeing rampant escalation throughout the construction market. We want to make sure that we have cost certainty on the phase one projects so we can complete them as they are currently defined, not sacrifice any scope in those projects, and hold off this additional funding for phase two until we have that cost certainty in phase one. So phase one represents about $587 million of our bond funds and state matching funds. And phase two is $400 million. And again, that's all held in advance at this point, but we're close to $1 billion program with our collective funds. Next slide. Kind of a snapshot of where we are right now. We have secured $77 million of state matching funds. We've actually contracted for over $218 million of contracts. We've issued $150 million of bonds, but as Chancellor Jackson noted, we're completing our bond sale for the second tranche of Measure G, which is just over $150 million. That'll supplement that money to move forward with some of the major construction that we're about to advance. And up to this point, we've spent about $81.5 million. We have 15 major projects underway and 56 infrastructure projects that are also underway. Some of the accomplishments are here by college, district divided by college. You can see there's a volume of infrastructure repairs that have been ongoing, and of course, some of the major capital projects, much of that pre-construction work where that first phase of projects is now completed. We're getting ready to move into construction for those projects. Next slide. It's a snapshot of just the graphic of some of that same information, how much we sold, the 115 million. That'll soon be adding $150 million to that number. We've contracted for 219 and expended just over the $81.5 million. You can see the breakdown by college campus. We're specifically looking at kind of balancing our spend across the campuses. Much of the bond projects, the bond monies were also kind of disseminated across the campuses based on the number of students and certainly the condition, the FCI building index for the condition of those projects or those buildings on the campuses. Next slide. This is a high level cash flow. I think it's just notable that we're starting to ramp up the spend exponentially as you move to the right. That's a reflection of the phase one projects now moving into construction. So exciting times. We're going to be scheduling a number of groundbreakings. Our projects have come out of DSA. Those that are state funded are receiving state chancellor approvals to move into construction. So we expect to be under construction at the end of this year, beginning of next calendar year on a number of projects. And you can see our construction spend really starts to exponentially rise. And that's why we're issuing the second tranche now of bond funds to fund those projects. Next slide. And this is the list of the phase two projects that are currently held in abeyance, the $400 million that I was referencing earlier by campus. Many of these are probably major projects that you've heard us speak to in the past. They're still in the master plan. They're still in the bond spending plan. They're just held on hold until we get that cost certainty, meaning that frankly, we receive bids and we know what those construction dollar values are going to be for some of those phase one projects. So at the College of Alameda, we have the new Science and Administration building that's to return the students back to the campus. Berkeley City College, it's a reconfiguration of the existing Center Street facility. At Laney College, it's a student center, culinary arts modernization and STEM building. Merritt College, you can see the projects there, the locker room, the renovation of building D and the demolition of building A. None of these projects are locked into the plan yet until we get that cost certainty again, but these are some of the projects that are currently on the list. What we do on an ongoing basis is meet with the colleges so we can make sure that we continue to be in alignment through our capital, we call them SIP meetings, capital improvement program meetings, so that we can make sure that we're in alignment with what the trends are in the current projects that we're undertaking. And more importantly, what does that next round of projects look like? As Dr. Jackson was referencing, some of the master planning work that's going on in the district is also critically important to align with these next round of projects as we continue to balance the vision of delivery of education to the students of Peralta with the facility needs of the district. We'll also probably be undertaking an update to the district's facilities master plan that'll be in alignment with those very same documents that Dr. James was referencing in her earlier comments. We've completed a number of our district-wide bench procurements. These were pre-qualifications for these various services that are here. You can see when those things were procured, we've completed. All these are professional services from architectural services, commissioning, all the way down through site surveying. So where we have a need for upcoming projects, either for the phase one or future phase two projects, we'll be procuring those services through these pre-qualified benches. No thoughts at the moment of refreshing the benches until we get a bit of volume of work under those benches. But of course, we wouldn't expect them to be much longer than 3.5 to 4 years before we'd start a re-procurement for the pre-qualification of new firms again. So I'm going to step through each college campus, specifically in reference to the phase one projects, and talk through kind of the upcoming procurements that are left for each college that are in phase one. For the College of Alameda, this is the new auto and diesel technologies building, which is now, bidding is completed. We expect this to start construction at the beginning of the calendar year. It's a state funded project. Let's go through the projects here, Ram. So 3 projects associated with the College of Alameda. Again, these are the phase one projects. The way this table is structured, it's similar if you've looked at previous tables that we presented. What we're trying to do is indicate to you the different services, both professional service and construction contracts, and the timing of those. And NA obviously means it's not applicable. A check mark means that procurement was completed. There's a consultant on board. And then if there's a quarter and a year reference, those are calendar years, but they are referring to the timing of the selection in the RFP for that specific service. So in the case of the Auto and Diesel Technologies project, you can see that all the procurements have been completed. The aviation complex, both phase 1 and phase 2, there are a number of professional service procurements that are yet to be completed, as well as the bidding of the actual construction contractor. 2 separate projects, both traditionally delivered. This is the current schedule. Some of you may be wondering about the next round of projects, officially at the College of Alameda, which has the science building. That project is currently paused until we get this cost certainty on some of these other projects. But we probably anticipate moving forward with design, build, delivery on that project for the science building, at least starting some of the preliminary scoping of the project and potentially moving forward with the design, build, procurement probably in the next 12 to 18 months, depending on how long it takes us to scope the project. Next slide. This is the Berkeley City College new building on the corner of Center Street and Milvia. If it were only so easy to deliver the building and make it look like this overnight, this is the rendering currently of what we envision the project to be. Next slide. So you can see in this case, we're in the process right now with our design build entity to finalize the guaranteed maximum price in the contract. Many of the procurements were included in their contract. There are a few that are also separate from that. When it indicates DBE, that indicates that that scope was included, at least for the design portion of those services within the design build entity's contract. There may be other opportunities for supplemental services that we would use that pre-qualified bench for some of these things. For example, if we needed soils testing, independent soils testing in the field, we would certainly still procure that separately. But in this case, you can see the IOR is kind of the remaining procurement that's outstanding for this project. This is the Laney College campus, and again, the vision of the new Learning Resource Center, kind of the new entryway to the campus on the other side of the campus. Number of very active projects undergoing at Laney with our locker room modernization, which is a state-funded project, as well as the central plant and cooling tower. We're also moving forward with our East Bay Mud Water Relocation main project. You can see in that case, many of the procurements, in fact, all of them are pretty much complete or fall under the design build entity's contract. The Learning Resource Center and the Laney Theater modernization are projects that we still have to do a bidding for construction contractors and inspectors of record. So we'll be looking for those opportunities based on the timing that's in this chart here. And finally, the Merritt College campus. This is a rendering of the new Child Development Center. This project is likely the first one that will have shovels in the ground. The bidding's completed also for this project. And you can see the procurements here, IOR for that project, the Child Development Center, as well as the horticulture complex is anticipated at the end of this calendar year. And we're moving forward with some improvements to the Barbara Lee building, which is a TI build out for that project. This project, you might have recalled back when we presented in earlier versions, we had envisioned at one point potentially this being a design build project. We've since divided it into 2 separate projects, and they're now being traditionally delivered. We've done architect selections for those projects, and based on the timing of our current architect selection and ongoing design, we expect that to be moving into construction towards the end of next calendar year. Next slide, Ryan. So let me turn it over to Dr. Williams-Powell to talk through kind of our fiscal side and some of the things that she's doing related to the new capital program. Welcome, Dr. Williams-Powell.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm actually going to talk a little bit about how you can participate in the development of these bond projects as it relates to Peralta. Peralta uses an online service called Quality Bid. Oh, I'm sorry. Next slide. Peralta uses an online service called Quality Bidders. It's an online pre-qualification service for the California districts that allow contractors to submit applications to become pre-qualified bidders. The service offers 2 pre-qualifications, formally bid projects and informally bid projects of $200,000 or less. Peralta Community College District is part of a state California Uniform Public Construction Cost Accounting Act, and it's CUPCA. So let me just tell you a little bit about what you would see if you were to go to the Quality Bidders website and taking a tour on that page. You would see a contractor would sign up and enter the information, supporting documentation, and other requested information. You'd actually select a district or districts in which you for which you want to receive your information. The districts review the application, approve the application. You're notified if determined to be a qualified bidder, and that information is also reported to reported on a contractors list, which is publicly accessible. Let's see, after that, there is a review status. If you deem not to be determined to be a qualified bidder during the first round, you can actually provide additional supporting documentation, and then the cycle kind of repeats itself. So CUPCA, which again is the State of California Uniform Public Construction Cost Accounting Act, offers procedures under a formal accounting standard that allows for informally bid projects up to $200,000. Other than that, it would be a formally bid project. And districts maintain a list of registered contractors to use and notify those contractors of upcoming projects to bid on informally. The list expires every year, December 31st. So in order to keep yourself relevant and current, you need to start applying for the next calendar year, beginning November 1st. In the module of quality bidders, there's also sections pertaining to frequently asked questions that help a user in submitting the application process. The pre-qualification website applications require a questionnaire with supporting documentation, including financial statements. And according to the ratings of your application, you'll be rated based on the size and scope of the project at hand. Before you are a list of websites that actually support in the whole process. This next slide actually is a screenshot of what it looks like when you select the bid pre-qualification process. And then I believe it's about maybe 7 or 8 pages, which are pretty easy to follow. You also have the opportunity to save your application in case you get stuck and need to reach out for support during the process. So you don't have to start all over, but it is a sequence of events within the module. And this particular area is for contractors under the CUPCA guidance. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how to do business with Peralta. Next slide, please. So again, you have the quality bidders. You must be registered with quality bidders so you can go through that vetting process. And attached and following that are the instructions for both becoming CUPCA qualified and the pre-qualifications. So the vendors must be registered with Peralta Community College Vendor Registration Program, which requires a separate application, including your W-9, as well as in the bid notification system within Quality Bidders. And there's also one within the Peralta website, which I believe we just gave you the Peralta purchasing website. Well, what happens within the notification system is that our contractors are noted when the district elects to receive electronic quotes and sealed bid submissions when projects come up. So it is kind of a lengthy process, but it is well worth the investment. And if you are stuck in any of these processes, the purchasing staff, as well as help from quality bidders, would actually be available to help guide you through the process. And we look forward to doing business with you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams-Powell. Also, we will, you should look into the chat because many of those links are being dropped in the chat for you to reference, as well as we will have emails for contact information in the chat as well. I'm Shonda Scott, CEO and founder of 360 Total Concept. As I said earlier, we're a small local business based in Oakland, and we are part of the AECOM Program management team working in the areas of small business support and outreach for the bond program for Peralta Community College District. As it was mentioned by Chancellor Jackson and Vice Chancellor Smith, is that the district does have a goal of 25% small local business participation. And as was mentioned, we're working to bring forth a policy that would make that goal more of a requirement than a goal to meet that number or exceed it. Right now, though, currently, the information on the slide are the criteria that is used to evaluate if a firm meets the current district's requirements for a small local business. So if your business is not certified with an agency and meets this requirement, we would love for you to get certified so you can help the district meet the small local business participation on the projects, especially on the bond program projects. Next slide. In our outreach, we have last year we started hosting community partner briefings with cities that are in the immediate impacted area of the new construction. So based on the construction schedule, we began meeting with organizations in Alameda and Berkeley. As construction continues, we will go district-wide to organizations to update them on the work that will be happening in their community, and also to get feedback from the community partners, the business organizations. So if you are a member or on the board of a business organization and you would like a presentation on the bond program and updated information, please send us an email at build.peralta@peralta.edu. That's the program email, and we will follow up with you to schedule that with your organization. We continue to expand our communication to the community by hosting virtual outreach meetings such as this, also matchmaking sessions on major bond programs. We have had a number of matchmaking on the Berkeley City College project. We also have regular e-blast that provides updated procurement information and community engagement information on the bond program. There's a website, build.peralta.edu. We welcome you to continue to look at the website. There's always updated information there. As well as the Peralta overall main website. There is a link to Build Peralta website from the main site as well. And social media. If you're not following us on social media, we're at Build Peralta on all social media platforms except TikTok, but we're on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So take time now. There should be a drop in the chat for you to sign up and follow us on Build Peralta. Build Peralta Academy is the transfer of knowledge training workshops hosted by the Peralta Community College Bond Program. It's our way to gain greater engagement with the business community and also engage with the Peralta leadership on the bond program. Small firms are able to receive information on how to navigate in Peralta's projects, as well as on public works projects. We are planning the next 3 sessions for Build Peralta Academy for this series. We've had 5 this year. We started the series in 2020, Dr. Bonnie James and I. We are the moderators and the facilitators of the series. We had 9 series last year. We had about 4 firms that completed all 9 courses, and they were highlighted at the board meeting when the bond program did a presentation update. And we also presented them with certificates of completion. We're also working as part of the small business plan to see how participation in the Build Peralta Academy can also be a value add when you are trying to bid projects or be on RFPs for the bond program. And that we are still working on. These sessions are informal and a great opportunity for local businesses to connect with the bond program. And as I said, engage with Peralta leadership. So visit buildperalta.edu, and under Build Peralta Academy, we have the online courses, the webinars that we've had for the past workshops. So if you've attended them and you want a refresher, you can go there, or if you haven't attended any, you can take the courses at your leisure online at build.peralta.edu. The page that's up now is actually just the way to stay connected. It has the emails, the telephone numbers, and the social media handle on how to stay connected with all things Peralta Community College bond program activities.